Hi guys, welcome back to We Gonna Talk About It. It's your girl Kenyatta. Hi my peoples, how y'all doing? I hope all is well. Let's get right into it. Today we're gonna be talking about the black church. All right guys, sit down. Let's not get sensitive. These are factual things that I have witnessed myself and other people are aware of. So, what I want to talk about is this. This is the question of the evening. This is the topic of the evening. Do you find that you are not going to church because of the money that's asked of you? Do you shy away from the black church because the offerings go around too many times? This is what this topic is about. This is not an uncomfortable topic for me. Um, Me personally, I don't shy away from the black church because of offerings. Um, I don't shy away from the black church, period, or any church that I would like to attend that is moving me, that is moving my soul. Um, as I've been taught and raised to believe, you are to give 10% of your earnings to God. This is what I was raised to believe. So I don't know any other way. If you know another way, please drop comments. Let me know. I'm not sure if other churches ask for this, to be honest. I've only been to Pentecostal, Baptist, um, forgive me, I'm trying to think, Pentecostal and Baptist churches. Um, my upbringing is from an AME church, which I believe is Pentecostal. I don't want to talk out of turn, but I do believe that is so. Um, I'm not saying it's just a black church. I want to fix that. All creeds, colors are invited into the house of God. We all know that. But what I find is that some people, we've had a discussion where some people say they don't go to church on Sunday because the pastor is always asking for money. What I feel is money makes things move. It's no difference from the church. The church needs things to keep it going. Okay, there are things that the church needs. So the members of the church are asked to, basically give funds to help, fund these things that the church need. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Um, I'm going to say what I believe because I like to be truthful. Um, I believe the 10% of your income because, like I said, I was raised to believe that. Do I do it? No, because I'm not a member of a church at this time. Um, I hope that God sees fit and makes me a member to a church that I would be able to go to and feel completely comfortable. Um, I believe offering is okay. Okay. Let's say you gave your 10%. Now you're in church on Sunday. The pastor says, oh, we're going to, the church needs this. Let's send around the plate and see if we could get some generous offerings for this thing that we need. I don't see anything wrong with that. You're in church again Sunday, same day. The pastor sends around a plate again. He says, oh, we're going to have a visiting pastor come. Let's take an offering for him. This happens, They like to take an offering for the visiting pastor. Okay? You give another offering. The third time, I'm kind of like, this is not a sermon anymore. This has turned into an offering sermon. I came to hear the word. I didn't come to have the plate passed around 3 times. I think two is good. 2 times is good. And maybe another Sunday, you can add an offering for the actual pastor that was there. um, I think 3 times is a little much. you know this is me personally speaking, guys. um, you know I just feel like 3 times is a bit too much. Times is hard right now. People don't have a lot of money. Inflation is up. And even though they say give what you can, you do give what you can, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's some pastors that go, excuse me, a little further and will say things like this. I don't know if you ever heard it before. I've heard it before. Will tell you, oh yes, we passing around the plate, and we don't want the money that jingle. We want the money that folds. The pastors are very clever with their words. Um, I find that to be, sometimes it's playful, but some people it may offend. A person like me, like I said, I've grown up in the church. This is nothing that I haven't heard a million times, so I don't take offense to it. But there are some people that do, and I'm speaking of this because we had a discussion. I had a discussion basically with two people that I know who said this is why they do not visit the church. This is one of the reasons, the offerings, like this too much, they want too much money. Um, I told them maybe it's just that church that you visiting that's making you feel like that. Would you give another church a try to see if it was any different? All churches are different. They ask for different things, but the majority of the churches that are Pentecostal, Baptist, there's Methodists too, I believe. They usually ask for the 10%. Now, Catholic and all of that, I have no idea. I'm not Catholic. I'm not of Catholic religion, so I don't know. Um, I was brought up in a Pentecostal church. My mom's church. I went to my mom's church, and like I said, this wasn't nothing we didn't hear of. There was times when my mom they used to collect funds for, Women's Day, funds for this. They would have a cake, a bake, like a bake off, and that would, that money would go to the church. Churches might need wheelchair lifts in their van, or portable chairs for people to get in and out of to get up the steps. The church does require a lot of things, but it's because they want everybody to be able to come, I believe. Let's just use this as an example. There's a lot of elderly people in the church. Like I said, I don't care what color you are. Any creed or color can go to the church. But do you know, like, a lot of elder people have a hard time getting up the stairs? Um, my mom's church was very, just very grateful to all their members. I've always felt comfortable at my mom's church here. They took up donations for people to get up and down the stairs in those chairs that, they basically come down the steps, they sit in the chair, they go up the steps, and the elderly people are able to be transferred into the sanctuary that way. If there's elderly people who cannot walk, how will they get in the sanctuary? These are things that have to be supplied by the members. That's why they ask for donations. And thank you, Jesus, by the grace of God, they were able to do that from all the members that donated. So I do believe there are things that are necessary for the church to ask people for money for. And I feel like if you're a member of that church, you should have no problem doing it. As a member of the church, you want to see it flourish. It can't flourish if money is not donated into the church. Uh, it takes money to make a well-oiled machine keep running. Okay, the church is the same way. It needs things. When they have dinners in the church, where do you think the food is purchased from? it's purchased from the people that are members in the church that have donated. That's the special offering, and this is why the plate goes around a couple times. Like I said, I'm all for the 10%. I'm all for regular donation, send the plate around. Number two, send the plate around for something else. But once it gets to 3 and 4 and 5, that's way too much. That's way too much. Then I think personally that is way too much. Okay. Um, this is just my opinion. And like I said, I bring this up because me and a couple people were discussing it, and they told me that was the reason why they did not attend church. Um, I find that very sad. I told the people that said that to try another church. All churches are not the same. They don't ask for the same things neither. I believe it's good to experience different churches till you find the one that is suitable for you. Um, it's just, it's a very sensitive topic. I understand. Um, when you say these things, it doesn't mean you don't love Jesus. It's just an opinion. We all have them. Please drop comments if you feel the same way. If you feel like you really want to get to know the Lord, you want to really get to know Him and find a church home, but you're stopped by thinking, oh, they're gonna pass the plate around 100 times and I don't have the money. If that's your reasoning for not, for being blocked to find a church, pray on it. Pray on it. God will lead you to a church that is gonna be a home for you. I do truly believe that. Um, I just, like I said, it is nothing new to me. I don't find it uncomfortable until it gets, like I said, it's a little extreme. Extreme is no good. That will sometimes shy people away. And if you're trying to get people to come to the church and get young people to come to the church, I believe the churches have to be more open to hear why the young people are not attending the church, why they have such a hard time with young people staying in the church. The church needs to be more open as well. Not just, just to get off the topic about the money and the offerings, I believe the church needs to be more open. This is a new generation. I know all of it doesn't make sense to us. Some of us that are older and have been raised in this certain kind of church atmosphere. Um, if you want to gain young people in your church, we have to be more open minded, I believe, and not be so, what do you call it? Like shunning on them, basically, like saying, oh no, this is wrong, like shoving it down somebody's throat. Nobody wants to feel like they're being pressured into anything. I believe it's good to be, warming to them to come to the church, asking them, like what moves their soul, things like that. I believe the elders are there to, you know, initiate new young members, but they need to be more open minded, you know, be open minded. The young are, the young, the world period is changing, and sometimes it's hard for us elder people to change with it, but we have to, because th- if we don't, the children won't go to the church, me myself, I always say it, I try to be as honest as possible. I'm lazy. Like literally, that is my reason why I don't go to church, because I'm lazy. When Sunday comes, I just don't want to do anything. I work 5 days a week. There's no excuse. I'm not making excuses for myself. That's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you why I don't do it. I don't do it because I'm lazy. It's as simple as that. God needs to take that out of me and push me out this bed and be like, girl, going to church. And when he do that, I'll get up and go. But I do believe this, guys, and I'm going to say this. I don't believe that you can't love Jesus or have Jesus in your heart if you don't go to church. I don't believe that. I have Jesus in my heart. I am a believer of him. He is my savior, and I know this. I don't need to go to church to find that out. I just know it. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that I would love a church home, you know. I would love that. And then maybe I would be okay with getting up every Sunday, but I have to start somewhere. I need to start visiting churches, you know, um, being open minded myself as well. I just don't want to go to a church because it's where my mom goes or where my mom went. You know, I want to find a church home that is for me. If her church is for me, it's for me. You know, I love my mother's church. I love the people in her church. It's a beautiful small church. They are very loving people. I love them. Whenever I'm asked to do something, I do it out of my heart, you know. But I feel like we need to be better as a people with getting to know churches. I think we need to be more open hearted, like I said. And the offerings, sometimes they are too much. Sometime, you know what I mean? Like I said, I know special occasions come up in the church, Women's Day, the pastor's birthday. You give offerings for those things. But I've been to churches where they have bring that plate around like 4 or 5 times. That's too much. It's too much. It is way too much, especially for nowadays. You know, like I said, things are expensive now. So we need to we need to think about this, guys. But this is just something that I wanted to talk about. I know it's a little sensitive. Nobody please get offended. Like I said, we sometimes need to talk about things that's uncomfortable. This I know will be uncomfortable to some saints in the church because it's their home and there's nothing wrong with that. But just be a little open minded and think what the other side is saying. Just listen to it, and maybe it's something that we can fix. Everything is fixable, I believe. I just think on a Sunday you've been to church from 9 to 1 or whatever time, and then literally you have basically emptied out your whole pocketbook. That's the problem. That's not good. Yeah, and I don't know, and I'm not sure how do this is another thing, guys. I want to make sure I say this right too. When somebody goes to the church, they give all their offerings. The plate is handed around, let's just say 5 6 times. How does the people that's giving the offering know where that money's going? Can somebody answer that? I know what is said, where it's going. But who makes sure that that money goes where it's supposed to? Who does that? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Somebody drop comments. Let's talk about it. How do we know it's truthfully going to the places that is said to go? How do we know as a people? How do we know? And are you okay with the plate going around 5 or 6 times? Are you okay with that? Does that not bother you, or does it bother you? Do you believe in giving your 10% to Jesus? These are things we need to talk about, guys. So, that is our topic for the night. Is money stopping you from going to church? Please be considerate about people's feelings if you're going to drop comments. I would love you to do that. Drop comments, like, and make sure you subscribe. It's your girl Kenyatta on We Gonna Talk About It. And it's real on this side. Always. Peace out.